Hey, it's Soul with another video brought to you by Alex Neal, Bodysuit Extraordinaire.
Ooh, pecs.
Today, I wanted to take another look at how Protection Paladins are doing, but instead of a full update of changes and additions in the beta, I'm going to get right into the elephant in the room. And by this, I'm talking about the addition of certain abilities being added to the global cooldown. This affects all classes, roles, and specs, but in an effort to avoid oversimplifying or being too broad in my critique to these GCD changes, I'm going to focus on only this one spec in the hopes that these personal opinions, reactions, and feedback will make it to Blizzard, so let's begin. Avenging Wrath and Light of the Protector, as well as the Hand of the Protector talent, are now on the global cooldown, along with on-use trinkets. This change has been in for a while now, and it's taken me a while to prepare a response, mostly because I wanted a lot more time to think about it past the knee-jerk, foot-in-the-mouth criticism of this change as a whole. In short, I don't agree with this change, but it's not because the gameplay feels demonstrably worse, or clunky, or slow. In fact, this sort of approach to the GCD is fine, but in hindsight, I don't think we should have gotten used to having our self-heal, and to a lesser extent our throughput cooldown, off of the GCD. We've gotten so accustomed to it that a change at this level feels like anything but a step in the right direction for the game. However, despite my distaste for the change, I've come to understand why Blizzard wants this. It turns out this isn't the half-assed, gun-blazing change for PvP that turned PvE that some critics are saying. Okay, so first, Avenging Wrath. After testing, I didn't have too big of a problem with this because it's just a throughput cooldown. Since our spec has so few to use, there isn't a lot of ramp-up time, which is quite literally just that one global. Hit Avenging Wrath, wait for the global, and then go ahead. Even if I spec for Seraphim, my ramp-up time is only 2 globals. Hit Avenging Wrath, which lasts 20 seconds, hit Seraphim, which lasts 16 seconds with a full charge, and then continue. As a tank, the use of 2 globals means very little here because my most important abilities are still off of the global cooldown. I still have almost full agency to keep myself alive. I could argue that Consecrate or Blessed Hammer uptime is lost, but this feels extremely small when considering non-mythic raiding. In practice, I'll be unable to macro all my throughput cooldowns with on-use trinkets, but I'm not too worried about a single global getting in the way every 2 minutes as a tank. But with Light of the Protector, or as I'll just call it my self-heal, when that was put on the global, I got pretty scared pretty fast. Because on my first, my second, and I guess the 30th round of testing, I feel like I lose control because unlike Seraphim or Avenging Wrath, my self-heal can be the difference between life and death, and this can happen every, 12 or so seconds? That leaves us pretty vulnerable. But then considering the longer cooldown of our self-heal and that the maximum amount that it can heal is for about 4 times the base amount based on our primary stats, it sort of highlights the sort of nerf to the ability overall. In Legion, it's an ability that'll top us off from near death. In BFA, it's a heal that keeps us comfortable when we're around half health, so that sense of urgency isn't quite as required. Where the consequence of the GCD really plays in though is when we take the Hand of the Protector talent, turning our self-heal into an ability that lets us heal others. One of my favorite things about being a paladin tank is knowing that I can save people with a well-timed heal or a blessing. I consider this to be a certain uniqueness among the other tanks who can't heal quite the same way. And the blessings make a terrific example of what the heal now means when it is on the global cooldown. Something's gone wrong and people are dying. Healers are doing their best to triage, and in Legion, if I see someone in dire straits, I can immediately use my heal if it's available. That's the critical moment. In Legion, I can do this whenever I want, assuming my heal is off cooldown. In Biffa, I can't do it the same way. In this case, I'll have to think about the consequences of using that heal instead of the next ability that I'd rather use instead. Take the Coven fight in Antorus, for example. Fulminating Pulse goes out, and healers are out of range of one of the affected targets. Then I happen to eat a Fire Cleave and take pretty big damage. In fact, I might die in the next melee attack. I'd like to use my Blessing of Spell Warding on the person with a debuff, and at the same time use my self-heal to prop myself back up. Once again, in Legion, I don't need to choose who I prioritize. I can just pop both abilities and ta-da! I demonstrated my skill as a tank. In the battle for Azeroth though, how would this play out instead? Instead of Spell Warding, I can use Blessing of Sacrifice on the person with a debuff instead, since that's not on the global, and I can heal myself at the same time. It won't guarantee that the player will come out of it alive, but there is a reasonable chance that they'll live long enough for a healer to get in range. Or I can use spell warding while popping a big defensive of myself like Ardent Defender or Lay on Hands. There are a lot of other examples I could make, but the point is that adding our self-heal on the global cooldown will result in this awkwardness of feeling slower because we'll have to rethink the way that we'll react to situations. And the way I see it, that's what Blizzard is going for. They want us to think about what we're going to do, and fast. With our heal off of the global cooldown, no thinking was involved, you just did whatever was off cooldown. With it on the global cooldown, our heal is now a strategic choice, at least that's the spin that I decided to put on it. So I'm at a point where I understand what's going on. The anger has subsided, but it still doesn't feel right. As a self-heal, this change doesn't mean too much. In fact, after my time on the alpha, I sort of subconsciously wait for the global to be up before healing myself. But with the Hand of the Protector talent, it doesn't quite feel okay. It feels like between the two benefits of the talent, the lower cooldown and the ability to heal others, I lose a lot of the power that comes from this talent. With the changes to our self-heal, I question if I need this talent at all anymore, apart from solo situations. It makes the Unbreakable Spirit talent, another small change for Protection Paladins, seem more attractive, which may be an unintended consequence. As a concluding thought, I want to let Blizzard know that I think I understand the intent behind this change. However, I feel like some of the coolness of being a Protection Paladin is lost, because I have to rethink how I can best contribute to my team. Do I add my spot heals to the roster, or do I focus entirely on myself? In this case, I'd really prefer to do both. Thanks for watching, and I encourage you to leave your thoughts and objections in a comment below. Please like and subscribe for more of this and all things Warcraft. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.